This episode is sponsored by Chavit Properties. Think, create, build. What are you building? Good day, good afternoon, good night. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're good. Because my next guest is good. He's a businessman with decades of experience in digital marketing. He's written books on the matter. He's also a real estate developer, and he's also got this hugely successful newsletter with over 10,000 subscribers, where he shares his thoughts and ideas on business in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ronald, Nzimora. If you remember, he featured in that epic Mother's Day episode about sons raised by amazing mothers. Ronald and I met on Twitter many years ago, and he's been a silent mentor ever since. You see, both of us are low-key, high-key Twitter heads. So this conversation was basically the both of us analyzing our experience on the app. We talked about the bad advice that is being spilled all over that place and the impressionable young people who take it all in. We talked about the flaws as we saw it when it comes to how some women go about their empowerment. And what is it with the beef women have with the 48 Laws of Power book? By the way, how timely is it that this Twitter-themed episode is dropping just after Elon Musk bought Twitter? We didn't get to talk about that because this was recorded way before. How I wish. I'm sure Ronald would have had words. And even though Ronald and I are from two different generations, we saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And I'm happy to share his point of view with you. He's on Twitter at Ronald Nzimora. Listen, learn, enjoy. My name is Rodney Omokache, and this is The Young God. Wow. This has been a long time coming, and now we're here.
Yeah, exactly. When I watched the very first episode of your podcast, I was like, I'd love to be on this podcast, but I guess it's going to happen at its own time. So I'm really honored to be here, and can't wait for us to get going.
Yeah. First of all, how do you say your surname?
Nzimora.
You know, because I've always said it as Nzimora.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people do that. So the full name is actually Nzimora Rosa.
Oh, what does that mean?
So basically, it means let me show the people the way. So let me lead the way. Let me show the way.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You're literally living out your name.
Yeah, literally, like.
What is in a name, they say, right?
Yeah, seriously. You know, the first time when my dad explained it, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
That's a heavy load to carry.
Yeah. And funny thing, the name Ronald actually means teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Teacher, guide. Stuff like something, like that. So I'm like, oh man, this is just,
it's destiny.
I don't know, maybe more than a coincidence. Interesting, really.
You know, my surname is Omokache, and Omokache means something along the lines of what he starts, he finishes.
Exactly.
So it's also something that I live out in my life as well. Like, as you can tell with this podcast, I said I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm gonna go as far as it will take me.
The first time when you told me you were starting it,
mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know how well received. Because it wasn't like podcasts were like the big thing that they are now. Now everybody wants to do a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was like kind of novel, right? Or novel, and I was like, well, if he sticks with it long enough, it just might work.
Yeah. And here we are, and here you are on this podcast. Guys, this is Ronald Nzimora, and he is... First, we met on Twitter, if you remember, all those many years ago. And do you remember how we met? I created this work of art that you liked so much that you were supposed to buy from me, actually. Remember that work of art, that Container on the High Sea?
Oh, yeah. And I was like, shit, I would love to have this on my wall in the
Yes,
office.
you were supposed to purchase it from me at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Man, I still need to get that stuff. You know the funny thing? There was one time when I was like, okay, I need to get this stuff. And I didn't remember who it was. I saw it on his timeline anymore. You know, I kept going through my likes and I found out I didn't like it. And I was like, shit. So how the hell do I get this thing now? Oh man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
See, and now we're here.
Okay.
I remember like it's yesterday. So I like to think of you as a Twitter elder statesman. But before we even talk about your Twitter, I want to know, like, what were you like when you were younger?
Younger. I don't know. I would say quiet. I was really bookish. Like I read. I tweeted a few days ago that when I was younger, I read practically everything. You know, chewing gum papers. You know, posters on walls, even torn posters on walls. I would try to read whatever was left and then try to make up what wasn't there in my head.
Yeah.
Right? I will see newspapers on the road, I'll pick them up. You know, at some point my mom started worrying, really. She thought I was going local.
Oh, really?
Because I read practically everything. The dictionary front to back, the Bible front to back. Like everything I would read. And my mom was a teacher, right? So she had lots and lots of books in the house, and she would buy more and more. And I remember my dad saying, "You're worried about this child reading too much, and yet you still buy more books for him to read." You know, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on him." So I was really, really quiet growing up. You know, tried to stay out of trouble as much as I could. But then again, because I was reading most of the time anyway, there was nothing else I was doing. So kind of just a low-key, quiet child who just stayed in his lane and minded his business, and all he wanted to do was just read books.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned reading books because these days it's very clear that there is a deficit in reading culture out here, especially if you just scroll through Twitter. You can tell the difference between those who have read books and those who get all their information from social media, whose entire personality is built off of, you know, all these like social media jokes and all these things. Like they don't have any, you know, internal development that they've done on their own. You get? And I was looking at this tweet by Kiki Mordi one time. You know that during that period when there was this whole conversation about young women having to sacrifice school for their boyfriends. You know, so Kiki Mordi made a list of things that girls should do before they get married, and things of nature of maybe traveling, you know, moving out and living on their own, you know, all this like very nice, you know, Sex and the City type lifestyle that makes babes feel empowered, right? And in that on that list, reading was missing from that list. I'm like, how do you want to be empowered without even mentioning books?
Exactly.
You know, so
like,
what do you think? What do you think is the outcome or the fallout of this, like, how do you say, underestimation of reading culture? Because, you know, in Game of Thrones, you know, the thing about people, about our society these days, like we watch so much content solely for entertainment. Because remember in Game of Thrones, the very first episode, Tyrion Lannister said, "A mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone if it's to keep its edge." A mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone if it's to keep its edge.
Needs a whetstone. Yeah, exactly. A mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone. Just like a whetstone keeps the edge of a sword really, really sharp, reading keeps your mind really, really sharp. So, people, I don't know. I mean, we see it every day on Twitter. Um, People don't have depth, right? People don't have depth. It's so evident, and they don't have the depth because everything they do these days is, like you said, is solely for entertainment. Even when they read for just entertainment. They don't read to really assimilate that they're reading. People say things like, "Can you make it brave? I don't have time to read."
Yeah.
And I wonder what they do with all of 24 hours that they have every day. I mean, if you can read just an article of about 1,500 words, what else can you read?
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to forget that, we're in a world where people want everything sharp, right? The world of fast and quick and speed, and everybody is just trying to do everything so fast and so speedily that nobody pauses to say, how much value am I getting out of this stuff? If I slow down, am I going to benefit more if I slow down than trying to be so fast? People don't pause to say, um, instead of being fast, can I get more value by being deliberately slow so that I can retain maybe what I read or understand what I watch, and they don't do that. And it shows in how they speak, it shows in how they tweet, how they write, how they contribute to a convo that's going on. It just shows, because I see it all the time. And you see this person and you're like, nah, this person doesn't have that. This person just says what they like.
It's funny you should say that people like things fast and easy. And I guess so that's the gift and the curse, right? Is like, now that we know that a lot of things can get fast and easy, I think the mature person, the person that's intentional, is now thinking to themselves, how can I properly demarcate the things that need to be gotten fast and things that require time? Because I don't see how anybody can really contribute meaningfully to conversations and to society in general if you don't read books that test you mentally. And then and not just like reading it to say you read the book cover to cover, because that's what people do now. They want to, like, if I don't even believe in that thing where people say they want to read 30 books in a year or 50 books in a year. Like, are you reading to understand, or are you reading just to say you have ticked these things off a list? Right? So are you reading these things and are you pondering, like, the value you've just received from this book and how that could apply to your life? Like, that's really what matters when you read these things. Like, even Harry Potter, the lessons, the subliminal messages there that a person can take about being, facing one's fears and being brave and bold. We read these things as kids, but now today, that whole attitude is frowned on as being, I cannot kill myself, or life is too hard, I should look for the easy way. Like, how do we forget these messages that make for
exactly, because a lot of times these messages are subtle, right? But if you slow down, you get it, and like you said, people just do things now for entertainment. They really don't care. They want to feel good. People want to feel good. But life is not always about feeling good. You don't have to. And that's what shows that you're a full-grown human being, to understand that life is not always about you feeling good. Life is not always about you having your way all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't have to go your way for it to make sense.
Yeah.
They don't have to. Sometimes things don't always have to be rosy for them to make sense to you. I mean, my life, I've overcome a whole lot, overcome a lot of hurdles. And I look back and I'm like, it was good that it happened, that so and so things happened, because now I can appreciate my life and my trajectory a lot better than I did at the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm glad that those things happen.
That's
So,
that's that God mindset that I speak about on my podcast.
yes.
Like that's what the young God is. People think sometimes that it's about it's a nice fun thing, to call oneself a god. I'm calling because I can, I'm a god, or whatever. Like it's literally the mindset that everything happens for a reason, and if you're true to yourself and true to the process of things, you will end up exactly where you're supposed to be, regardless of where you are, unless you die. Like death is the only thing that can stop a person from getting to a place. But as long as you're alive and you're doing things the right way, and you keep that mindset of bringing your best self to things, showing up for yourself, and doing the right things, also, one way or another, you get to where you're going.
Yep, absolutely. Eventually, you are going to. I mean, we've seen plenty examples of the same, of this happening. People eventually will get. And the thing is, again, talking about speed, because everybody wants to be fast, people forget that everybody's trajectory is different, right? Some people can do something and get there in a year. Others will need to do it for 3 years to get there.
Yeah.
Right? But everybody is so fixated on just getting there anyhow that they don't even say, okay, how much skills do I have? How much resources do I have? How much time do I have? Okay, time is also a resource, but how many skills and resources and how much leverage do I have, right, for what I want to do or what I want to achieve, right? Because those are the things that come together to determine how fast you go or how slow you go.
And how much value you're providing for whoever is consuming your product or content.
And how much value exactly. Life is life. You can't maneuver it.
Yeah.
You can't make it change for you. You can't make it change for you. You have to be the one to change, right? For life. Life is just there. It's just this thing that is just there.
To make it more poetic, right? I think life is such that you can't change. You have to change for life before you can change life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you have to accept certain realities and then grow to meet those realities, and then you can now have the power to now change reality, like as you see fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Perfect explanation for you. Perfect explanation.
While you're here, I want to tell you about Chavit Properties, who are proud sponsors of this podcast. They are a luxury real estate company that is also committed to developing sustainable mass housing. Ambitious stuff. Check them out on social media at Chavit Properties. Chavit Properties. Think, create, build. Still on topic of reading, right? You know this book, 48 Laws of Power?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've read that. There's no thinking man who is worth anything in this world who has not at least gone through that book one time. You know?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what do you think is the reason for women looking down on that book? Because you hear women, they often look down on guys who have read that book or who understand or swear by the book. What do you think is behind that mindset?
Yeah, I think my thinking is in this world is a battle is a battle of the sexes. Everything we do every day, most of it anyway, maybe not everything, is basically a battle of the sexes. And women see people who have read that book and who swear by it as having, undue advantage of how to maneuver and win in that battle of the sexes. They see them as having tremendous power. And, they already see men as having a lot of advantage. And now having a man who equips himself with that sort of knowledge basically tilts the skills even more in their favor. And they hate it.
Yeah.
Like, they hate it. I mean, there was a day that conversation was on Twitter, And this very good friend of mine, she's a doctor. She lives in the UK. And she sent me a DM and said, "So you like that book?" I said, "Yes." As in, I love the book. I have it in my library. Like, I absolutely love that thing. And she said, Why would you like a book like that? I said, because it makes me understand how to navigate this world. It makes me understand so that life is hard enough. I want to be able to equip myself to make it less hard for me. That is why I have it. I don't have it because I want to manipulate people, right? I don't have it because I want to, make people subservient to me. Everybody reads these things for their own reasons. Maybe some people read it because they want to use the knowledge to manipulate others. I really don't care. I will use it to manipulate others for their own good and for my own good too. If it's mutually beneficial, I will do it. Right? I will do it, absolutely. Right? But I'm not doing it for a bad reason. I don't read the book for a bad reason. So she calmed down and she said, "But only wonder what all of you who have read that." So women think that it gives men undue advantage. You guys, men are already seen as having the advantage because of their DNA and their makeup, right? Men are generally stronger. Men are generally stronger both physically and mentally. And now having this sort of information, and for some reason, men just love this book far more than women. Because, this thing is the same thing, right? If the book is available for everybody to read, why complain about it when you can just read it and use the information? Right? Just read it. Why are you complaining about it? Just that's the thing.
And you can bet, you can bet that they haven't read it. They just see the title, 48 Laws of Power, and they assume that it's something that's catered to men because. And here's where we can talk about social conditioning, because women are conditioned to think that power is just it's just a thing that occupies the realm of men. That women, shouldn't think of power at all or in that way. But they're sorely mistaken. If you read that book, your mind will open. You would, if anything, if it's really a man's game, then read it so you can master the man's game. As opposed to.
Exactly. So now you know when somebody is trying to use it against you, because now you know what they're doing, right? Now you know exactly what it is they're doing, but I think it's easier to complain and bitch, and cry,
always,
than to actually just sit down and just read the book,
always, always,
and that's the way of the world, really. That's how majority of people in the world act and behave.
It just shows you how differently men and women see the world. Because again, going back to that tweet by Kiki Modi, she listed a whole lot of very nice things that, would make for a very enjoyable life for a young girl, sex on the city lifestyle, travel, they said have as much fun as you like, sleep, have multiple partners, explore. That's cool and everything. But just the fact that there was nothing that said anything about reading books, and not just learning a skill, but mastering a skill or several skills. I felt, this is why men will always have a leg up, because, you guys are not helping each other when you send this kind of messages. Read.
Yeah, because I say it all the time. A lot of advice, especially on Twitter, by women for women, I see them and I just shake my head. If you take advice, you are going to be further disadvantaged. It's just plain to see. It doesn't work. For example, things like have fun, have as many partners, and it is nonsense.
Yeah, actually,
it's nonsense. I'm not against having people having fun, right? But please don't have as much fun with any freaking body you like.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Life doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Life happens. What if you do it and something happens? Maybe you get pregnant, maybe you catch a disease, maybe, oh yeah, I was scared, but shit happens.
Yeah. All the time. All the time.
You know, and it's sad. It's sad really, because now we have a lot more impressionable young women who lap up these things, and because they are young, these things are now going to be the bedrock of their outlook on life, going into their adulthood. And it is just incredibly sad that these things happen.
You know what? I want to read it out in its entirety, just so you can. So it's a quoted tweet to another tweet. So the original tweet says, "Because I don't want girls giving up their careers and lives for men. Please share what you think girls in their early 20s should experience before they even consider marriage." So Kiki Modi now says she lists some things. She says, learn a skill. That's fair. Master a healthy hobby. That's fair. Rent a flat alone and have dinner with wine in your underwear. Okay. Make lots and lots of money. Okay. Date a lot. Okay. Explore your body, learn your body, know your body. Okay. Move to a new city. Plan trips. Take unplanned trips. Save/invest. Try and fail and try again. So it's I wouldn't disagree entirely, but like, just because the important things, you know, between you and I, we can think
are not there.
Yeah, the important things are not there.
The important things are not there. Yeah, making money is fine. I mean, traveling is fine, right? But it's not just that. What do you need to do to make money?
The foundation of things.
Yeah, date a lot. Yeah, but how?
Exactly.
But how? Right? How? And the thing with Twitter is people just put out these one-liners.
No context.
Right? And then no context. And then people just make up meanings. Right? People just make up meanings. And it's not just about life advice. I also say it for people who give business advice. You know, they say, do this. And I'm like, okay, you've told people to do this. You've not told them how to do it. You've not told them in what situations to do it. It's not just enough to just come and say, do this. Right? Yeah. If you're going to hold yourself up as a truth teller or an advice person, right? At least take the time to give people a context, to tell them the reason why this is important, right? And how to do it. Don't just come and drop one-liners, you know. Okay, so now I'm a 20-year-old lady. I'm reading this, and in my head, okay, how do I make lots and lots of money? And
it's just a nice idea to have.
Yeah. What skill? Okay, date a lot. Why the fuck would I date a lot if I'm in love with one person? Why would I? There's just so many things. So much to shoot down this, right? So many things, right? But and I don't have anything against her. I don't have anything against her, but I mean, she has lots and lots of impressionable young women who follow her and who are going to read this thing. And they're going to wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to move to a new city unprepared. Right?
You know what's unfortunate? Sorry to cut you off. You know what's really unfortunate is that Kiki Modi, she made her name of being she did some stellar journalistic work, to be fair. You know, something that put her in the limelight, and that's cool and everything. You know, and it's kind of unfortunate that she would gloss over that aspect of her craft, of her womanhood, of her person that has made her this, this kind of figure, and just focus on the superficial stuff.
On the superficial, right? Focus on the superficial. And it's funny because sometimes when I see people say these things, I'm like, is it maybe you guys really don't want people to learn? right? So you're just saying this so that it looks like you're sharing, but you're not really sharing, right? You put out this, and then so people feel good for a bit. People feel good for a bit, and then after some time, it dissipates. Someone was asking me, why don't you do seminars? And I said, because seminars are crap.
Okay.
If you do a business seminar, you put 500 people, 100 people, 1,000 people in the hall, you speak to them for 3 hours. They feel good in 3 hours, especially if you're a really good speaker. You feel good for 3 hours. Then they leave. Then they sit down in the bus. Then they stay for 4 hours in the hold-up. The issues of life take over again. And everything, all the feel-good factor,
gone.
And they're back to square one. What's the point? What's the point? Right?
Yeah. So what would you...
So I would rather you actually do stuff. I would rather you actually start something, even if you're failing at it. You actually do it, because when you're doing it, you're actually learning.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And your personality is infused in the doing, because now you figure it out how, based on your makeup, based on your experience, based on what you know, and then if what you know is lacking, you can now go add to your knowledge. Sitting down, and yeah, there's a place for sitting down and learning stuff, to be honest. There's a place for that.
Yeah.
But people make it so much. People make it the focus so much that they just sit down and then they just learn and learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, and they never do.
Yeah. I think seminars are only good. Seminars are good for people who already have skin in the game.
Exactly.
If you have skin in the game,
they just want to come up.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just want to add something. They just want to learn something. That's the purpose of those things.
Yeah.
It's just for you to level up.
Yeah.
Right? I don't see much value in you being a starter and spending all of your time and all of your money just doing the round of something. Maybe 1 or 2 is good, but when you now make it the sole aim of, so that you have this feel good factor, that means, so that you get this dopamine, that you're learning, and you feel good that you're learning, right? But at the end of the day, all you're just doing is just consuming information.
That's it. That's
it. You're just consuming information. Because consuming information is not the end all, it's not the be all end all.
Yeah.
It's basically probably just only step 1 in the process.
Yeah.
You have got to go beyond all of that. So it's similar to people like Kikimori dropping one-liners.
You know what's really interesting, right?
What content?
All those things you listed would be so much more valuable to someone who already has the foundational knowledge or information about, themselves and being empowered.
Exactly.
Because then they can read all of that and adjust it to the life they live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For someone who is basically at ground zero, it doesn't help. Help them.
Doesn't.
And that's why it's important young people learn that as much as people give you advice and tell you what to do, especially on social media, especially on Twitter, where they have only 240 characters. Thank goodness it's now 240 characters. I mean, there was a time it was just 120, right?
Or 280. The time was 280, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people just have 240 characters. If you're going to take advice from there, you had better be sure that you have some other source to cross-reference it.
Yeah.
You had better be sure you have some other source. You had better be sure that you have inside of you that you know enough to assimilate and take what is necessary and discard the rest.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to wait 40 years old and find out you basically live the lie.
Yeah.
Right?
And the pain that comes from that is different.
Yeah, it's just going to be something.
Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume. You know, life is amazing in that you can't escape it. You can't take shortcuts, and you can't get away. You can't get away from it. And one example for me was recently. This babe tweeted, if I can find it. She said, when you actually start liking someone genuinely, all the superficial things don't really matter, right? She said that. But this is a babe that 2-3 years ago, she was on a different, mindset when it comes to, these kind of things. Like, you understand? And I noticed this and I was like, see, life. You, one way or the other, you learn the lesson.
That's why I tell people, life is long. That's one of my favorite things to say.
Yeah.
I tell them life is long. Don't just, our people, we have a saying, so I'm going to say it in Igbo and translate it. So they say, so what it means is that when there's famine, you don't have the luxury of choosing what to eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When there's famine, you don't have the luxury of saying, "Oh, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat that." You don't have the luxury because you're going to die very, very quickly, right? So people say things without knowing that life is long, right? Because you are going to come to a point. Have you noticed that married people don't weigh in on marital topics until that?
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For good reason too. Because now they know.
Yeah.
Because now they know that it's not about just coming to work late and just say things that you think that's how it's supposed to be. Because when you get married, it's going to be different for you. It's going to be different from somebody else. The situations are not always this or that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's never.
Yeah.
So what happens is people come to a point of realization and they're like, I was real stupid. Those who can be honest with themselves, they're like, I was real stupid.
Yeah. 2
years ago. I was really stupid 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen this babe on Twitter who was so against marriage. And then she got married and she plastered everywhere.
Do you get
all of her timelines in her pictures, And I'm like, oh shit! Now they are going to rain on her, and they will rain on her parade, right? But I felt sorry for her because that wasn't what you should be seeing on your happiest day.
Yeah.
Because she was clearly really happy that she got married. But I also know why people rained on her parade.
Yeah.
Because she was like chief of anti-marriage. Right? But people come to a point where they just realize that, I was really foolish. So if they can be honest with themselves, they admit it. Some of them just tend to keep it to themselves because they don't want somebody to come and shit on them.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to shit on you, basically.
Yeah.
But again, life is long. The important thing is to make sure that the bad notions that you have don't affect you adversely by the time you realize it.
That's the hope, yes.
That's the hope.
That you get the chance to learn your mistakes before it bites you.
Exactly. Learn early before it hurts you really, really bad. So people are unlucky, really bad, really, really bad, before they realize it. Right? It hurts them really bad before they realize it. So, again, life is nuanced. It's a balancing act. You have to know enough, right, to know exactly what to take in, what not to take in, how to react to things. It's just a balancing act.
That's why we say read.
It's something that it's something that you do by learning. Exactly.
Yeah.
When you read, you learn.
This is the Young God. Do follow the podcast on IG at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God for more God level content. New episodes drop every Saturday at midnight, so do subscribe and do share. I'm your host, Rodney, and I wish you a blessed day and a blessed mind. Rodney, out.